It's Captain Forest here. I am the host of today's video, and in this video I have a very spicy matchup. I'm going to be posting for Corin O'Keefe. This matchup entails Akuma versus Iron Fist. So if you guys have not done so, please make sure you subscribe to Corin O'Keefe. He's going to start pumping out content now on this channel as well, and I will be helping him also. And also make sure you check out my links in the description. Shouts to HQ Squad. And also shouts to everyone else who helps me in my videos too. And yeah, let's get right into the meat and potatoes of things. This match will be equal stats. Both combatants will have their AP, speed, durability, and any amps will not be included, but those attributes will be equalized to see who would win more often than not in an equal stats scenario. So I'm going to go ahead and start off talking about Akuma. Since all those things will be equalized, I will not be talking about AP or speed. I'm going to get right into the juicy abilities, skills, and other miscellaneous stuff that he has. So starting off, I'll need to talk about Chi in Street Fighter and the Satsui no Hado and some of the other powers it grants those who wield it. Then after I've done talking about Akuma, I'm going to move on to Iron Fist, of course. So Chi in Street Fighter is spiritual and mental in nature. It's even been stated by Seth during the Bleak project that the machine absorbs spiritual energy from the host's body. It's shown on many occasions to completely corrupt the mind of the users who attempt to use it. Its power, such as Ryu, who has shown to restrain the Satsui no Hado from taking control of him and literally just changing him. Akuma himself has mastery and control over the Satsui no Hado. He's demonstrated this on a number of occasions to control this power on a masterful level, which is very impressive. So he's not even corrupted or affected by its crazy insane power. So moves such as like the Raging Demon, which attacks the soul, and it can either BFR it too. Those are just some of the techniques, for example, that can affect you on a physical, spiritual, mental level. Those are some of the things he can perform. So any other technique in Street Fighter that he uses that requires Chi will pretty much contain all these three elements. So now that I've gone over that, I'm going to talk more about some of his Chi showings, of course. So he can perform the move called the Koretsuha, which is a giant explosion of Ki, where Akuma engulfs his fist in concentrated Chi and punches the ground, erupting the ground with a burst of fire as his opponent gets caught in the blast. He can also perform the Gohadouken, where he throws a Chi blast at his opponent. Chi also can vaporize you. He can also lace his attacks with Chi as well. Akuma also has really good Chi sensory. Chi users can detect Chi, and they can also determine the person's power level through reading their Chi too. Akuma is able to put out a Chi barrier which absorbs attacks upon impact, and Akuma can also perform the demon teleportation in mid-combat, as well as to leave the battlefield as well. He's also demonstrated to physically hurt Kage, who is literally just a shadow, so he can affect shadows too. He's also dealt with characters who have or can fight on instincts. He has fought and reacted to Ryu. Ryu himself is able to fight and react to Blanka, who fights on pure instincts alone. And Seth backs this up in his own statement after defeating Blanka in one of his win quotes, stating that there is no value in fighting out pure instinct. You have nothing for me. Sort of powerful characters, not god tier characters, or just characters that can reach those levels, or high tier at least, or mid tier, they feel like instinctive reaction or instinctive combat fodder. And you've got Ryu completely embarrassing these characters, who's easily above them, as well as Akuma too. Akuma has also reacted to Ryu on a good amount of occasions, when Ryu himself also has instinctive and precognition as well, thanks to his mind's eye allowing him to anticipate an attack and come up with a counterattack. And despite having precognition, Akuma is still able to get one over on Ryu in their fights. And lastly, let's move on to skill. So Akuma transcends all forms of martial arts. He's mastered over matter and energy, and he also knows techniques such as the Goshoryu, Tatsumaki Senpuken, and the Anatsuken, and just many other fighting styles too, naturally. So moving on to resistances. So Akuma has some soul resistance. He was able to break out Nikali's body, who is struggling to consume his soul. And he also has mind, body, and soul resistances. Naturally, because of the Satsui no Hado, like that thing makes you go insane. It corrupts your mind, body and soul, and Akuma is just fine while wielding such a power, because usually if you take on this power, it makes you really corrupt and you won't even be in your right mind, and Akuma is just fine when he manifests his power. Akuma has resistance to atomic destruction, of course, since chi vaporizes the body too, at least on an atomic level, and Akuma can break out of BFR. After getting trapped him in a realm, Akuma breaks 3, so he has some ways to get around BFR. Yeah, that's gonna round up Akuma. I'm gonna go ahead and talk about Iron Fist himself. I'm gonna talk about what he can bring to the table. So Iron Fist can learn a lot about his opponent via just looking at their stance. So this is like a very skillful thing to have when you can analyze your opponent just by the way they stand. So he can determine how skilled a person is and how their form is when they based off their stance alone, which is very impressive. Iron Fist is able to see through Steel Serpent's attempt at feigning weakness. Iron Fist masters all techniques taught to him by Lei Kung, who has trained every Iron Fist and every warrior in Kung Lu, going back to at least 730 AD and possibly longer, before the MP16. Iron Fist was able to defeat Shinkui, the cat, who is able to fight Shang-Chi. Iron Fist has also scrapped with a mind-controlled Shang-Chi and performed well. The same Shang-Chi is trained in all forms of martial arts. Shang-Chi and Iron Fist recognize each other as master martial artists, and if you want to add more to that, another impressive feat that occurred was when Shang-Chi was able to fight like his classic self from back in the past, and he even notes that version transcended all forms of martial arts, and current Shang-Chi beat his past self, which is very impressive. That's some really good layers of skill. So Iron Fist should scale to that too, if you include that. Iron Fist was able to land blows. Wolverine scrap with him in a sparring fight. Wolverine is a master at all forms of martial arts as well, and Captain America complements the skill of Iron Fist too, and Captain America is also a master at all forms of martial arts, and he's been able to beat Catch, who is also a master at all forms of martial arts and has all knowledge on it too. Iron Fist also knows multiple techniques. He can also combine them to perfection, which is very impressive. He's also mastered the hypnotic fist technique, so there's some things he can do with his chi. And Iron Fist also was able to defeat a powerful armed ninja with thousands of years of experience, and is also shown to skillfully get around telepaths who try to read his mind by using drunken style. Iron Fist also has perfect form in chi, and he also knows some pressure points, as he was able to perform this on Spider-Man 2. And during Immortal Iron Fist, Danny received an amp by absorbing the chi of the previous Iron Fist, Orson Randall, as he died. For this amp, Davos is able to kill Orson, who was superior to Danny in the time it took Danny to blink. Immediately after the amp, Danny and Davos clash. In addition to this amp to his raw power, he also improved his skill. After Orson gave him the book of the Iron Fist, Danny learnt from the book, which contained the techniques and experience written by the previous Iron Fists, and he soon after began learning many of its secrets. So keep in mind that all feats before the Immortal Iron Fist are prior to this amp, which increased his power, skill and awareness, including infinite ways to kill men, which heightened his skills too. Iron Fist also has instinctive reaction. He can also instinctively switch his styles as well. He fights on pure instincts as well in combat, which is very impressive. He's also able to use precognition in battle in order to defeat Sabretooth by feeling and sensing him with shifting air currents. And Iron Fist was able to sense a guy wanting to attack him. Iron Fist was able to learn how to fight blind. He's also been able to fight with his other senses as well in combat, so if certain other senses that he has that are compromised, it's not a problem. He can still fight pretty efficiently. He's also able to quickly find the weaknesses of a super durable robot, so he's got some info analysis, so he's able to locate weak points on an opponent. So that's going to round up his skill. I'm going to go ahead and move on to Iron Fist's Iron Fist. So let's talk about Danny, talk about more of the Iron Fist. So basically, the chi in like Marvel and like chi for Iron Fist, he's able to like manifest it through his body and channel it in different parts of his body. And we all know that chi in Marvel is physical, spiritual, and mental in nature, and this would affect you on all 3 levels. And Iron Fist is able to manifest this powerful element. Iron Fist has demonstrated many usage with his Iron Fist and with his chi. He can manifest a dragon out of chi and perform a dragon punch, which causes a small widespread. Iron Fist can also blast chi from his hands at his foes. He can also cause an area of effect. He can also use his chi to hypnotize people with the hypnotic hands. Iron Fist can imbue objects with his chi and also reflect back projectiles with his chi. Iron Fist has chi and energy absorption. He's able to absorb electricity from a train which was loaded with enough explosives to make a Hiroshima bomb look like a sparkler. And Iron Fist can literally absorb radiation and magic attacks too. He's also able to heal from like a near-death experience, so when he was dying he was able to just like heal. So he has like some type 3, which is pretty cool. And Iron Fist can also just heal injuries or any type of like wounds or sicknesses through his own chi alone. Iron Fist is in a protected form, allowing him to exist in magical places that would kill ordinary mortals. Iron Fist is able to fight off and resist his own soul and chi from being taken from him. And Iron Fist is able to break out the bands at Sidorak that was restricting his body, which is very impressive because the bands at Sidorak it's very, very strong. And Iron Fist is able to like focus his chi to break out of mind control, and Iron Fist can see through illusions. He's also demonstrated to resist reality warping, which is absolutely insane. And Iron Fist can break an interdimensional portal. Kung Lu is in a separate dimension. Also, Iron Fist has demonstrated to break through dimensional barriers before as well. And Iron Fist has like incredible willpower, being able to withstand limitless pain that would drop even the most courageous of men. So that's going to round up both combatants. So who would win more often than not in a equal stats scenario? So it's very close. They both have win cons. So Akuma could use the demon teleportation to get closer, try and teleport behind Iron Fist. Now Iron Fist's sense of awareness is really good too, so he could also respond to Akuma, because Iron Fist has precognition. He could use the shifts in the wind as well to help him, and as well as his instinctive reaction. Granted, yes, Akuma's fought against a Power of Nothingness Ryu, reacted to him. Power of Nothingness Ryu's like awareness is it's more like it's more transcendental compared to like normal senses. So you could make the argument that Akuma would be able to kind of like have better like sensory and get like the drop on Iron Fist, but I just think that Iron Fist does have the precognition and the instinctive to help him keep him in the game, so he's not like at a massive disadvantage with his senses. I think his senses will help him. He'd be able to respond to Akuma pretty easily in an equal stat scenario. As for chi, they could just cancel each other out with their chi attacks. Akuma could use the Raging Demon as well. That's one of his biggest win cons too. He could destroy Iron Fist's soul and BFR him. However, Iron Fist does have resistance to those things. He can resist BFR, and he can like resist his soul and protect his soul too if need be, or he could just throw up a chi barrier to block out Akuma's bloodlust. And plus he could read Akuma's body language as well, thanks to his info analysis and his skill. So he could like analyze Akuma's like fighting style and stance. I don't think they're outmatched in skill. I think they're pretty close in skill, very relative. So I think like Iron Fist's info analysis, his awareness, him just like looking at his opponent, he'd be able to understand the intentions behind Akuma's attacks, so he'd be able to have like better counters and be ready to respond to whatever threats that Akuma may pose. Now, what could Iron Fist do in this situation? Now, I think Iron Fist does have some win cons. I think the chi absorption is probably one of Iron Fist's like deadly win cons. I think if he starts absorbing Akuma's chi, it could be a problem that could make Akuma a little weaker. You could make the argument that Sasui no Hado could just make Danny go insane. However, I don't think it will. We've even seen that like Danny's chi is able to snap him out of mind control, and of course his chi would protect him on a physical, spiritual, mental level. And even if he was to become corrupted, he's not going to lose because of it. He's able to still manifest and fight his opponent while he's under the influence of mind control. So even if he gets corrupted by the Sasui no Hado, that's not a problem, because the chi will still be able to just help him, and he'd still be able to fight Akuma, and he'd fight a lot more ferociously with his chi. In fact, that make Akuma kind of have a bit of a disadvantage. Now Akuma does have his own chi barriers too. However, I don't think he's going to be using them much in character. He doesn't really use them like much in character a lot. He typically just likes to scrap or use parries or dodge. But I think the energy absorption will be probably the biggest factor in this fight that could definitely start dwindling down Akuma, and especially if Iron Fist starts like throwing out more chi barriers, you know, chi explosions, X, Y, and Z. I think Iron Fist probably wins with like very high difficulty. That's my thoughts at least. I think Iron Fist would probably take victory. It's very close. I just think he has like he's not really at a massive disadvantage really in many areas. He still has his protection, he still has the chi, still has his barriers, and he has like hexes. He has some resistances too. So it's nothing new to him. And the skill department, they're pretty relative. You could possibly argue that Iron Fist may be more skilled or Kuma may be more skilled, but I don't think anyone's getting beaten in skill anytime soon. But yeah, that's my thoughts at least. Thank you guys for watching. It's been a pleasure guest appearing on Corin's channel. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. But yes, I'm gonna see you guys on next one.